Hey guys, ClintDarden.com, and of course the house of biceps. Really want to yell, but it's almost 1 a.m. and I'm outside and I just finished training and I want to get out another video for you guys. My son is inside being good, really good. My wife and oldest son are out of town, so I want to take full advantage of every opportunity that I can, and without upsetting the neighbors on a Monday night at 1 a.m. standing outside. I don't want to yell too much, but I want to get you guys as many videos as I can. I put out the Ask Me Anything video last week, and I want to go ahead and get as much uploaded as possible. So I had a question. Let me see. Sean Bundy, hey, what's up, man? He says, Clint, what is your favorite way to set up a 3-day per week strongman program? I can't really say. Well, it depends on how you define strongman program. So if you want to train, let's say, strongman-ish, if you're not training for a competition, then I think we can do that. If you're training for a competition, then we have to look at something that is, let's say, random thoughts. Day one is squat based, okay? We're gonna do something light for squats because you don't have to push squats. Any kind of accessory that is mostly therapy for your low back or whatever your weakness is. And then we'll do some kind of medley. A lot of times this can be a sandbag carry movement. Doesn't have to be crazy hard. If you've got farmers in the contest, this can simply be, I've used a lot of things the last 2 years with clients, like walk 50 feet, jog back 50 feet, carry the implements 50 feet, walk back 50 feet, jog 50 feet, carry the implements 50 feet, and walk back 50 feet to let your heart kind of rest. Doesn't have to be heavy. Could be anywhere in the 60 to 70% range. That's contest weight range. And that's fine, but it introduces you to the event. You can also do things, we've done a lot of things recently in the last, say, 18 months with, and Pavlos, I know you're watching this, so you can appreciate this, setting up an event like yoke, farmers, Husafel, sandbag, any kind of moving type event, somewhere in the 60, 70, 80% range, and that really depends on your level and where you are. And be intelligent, because going heavy doesn't get you farther. Going harder doesn't get you farther, especially right now. Set a 12-minute timer and just say, hey, I'm gonna take it down 30 feet. I'm gonna set like a block 30 feet down, 30 feet back, and I'm gonna move it 30 feet. That's it, pick it up 30 feet. When I'm recovered, when I feel comfortable, I'll bring it back 30 feet or 50 feet or whatever, 20 meters, whatever works for you. And just get a total distance over 12 minutes. Keep in mind that in week 2, you need to beat this time. And keep in mind that in week 3, you need to try to beat that distance, but in 10 minutes. Okay, so there's no reason to kill yourself. But you can set up a leg day like that. Do you have access to reverse hypers? Do you have back problems? Do you need hamstring work? Do you need glute work, calf work, upper back work? It's a good day to do that on. So then you have a press day, and we focus on your press. Again, I really emphasize more light work, working on technique, working on the volume, working on the safety muscles. Whether it's an overhead press, I think higher and higher of the, like a slingshot bench press after that. For sets and reps, not heavy, like sets of 5 to 10 reps can be really beneficial for the strongman. So can board presses, so can inclines, so can tempo work and timed work and paused work, axle work on inclines and on flat, floor press. There's a lot of stuff that can work for a strongman. And your third day is maybe focused on something towards the deadlift, and that depends on what your deadlift is. If you're working on deadlift for reps, deadlift for max, deadlift for 18 inches, do you need to work on your sumo deadlift? Do you hate the sumo deadlift? It's a completely pointless lift, but if we looked at it as an exercise, not a lift, would it build kind of the rest of your body and movements in a positive way? And how can we do that? How can we lay that out over a period of, say, 3 to 6 weeks to make you a stronger athlete, make you a better strongman in 6 weeks, without thinking, hey, we're now a sumo deadlifter? There are a lot of things that can go into place. And then you finish off that deadlift with, do I need to work on just my deadlift right now because it's off season? Or do I use this as a chance to work on other events that also load the spine, like farmers, yoke, atlas stones, Husafel stone carry, odd rocks, truck push, truck pull, arm over arm, things like that, or really just any kind of event that you want to do. So that if I only had 3 days a week, that's kind of how I would set things up if we had to look at 3 days a week. And I wouldn't kill myself on anything. Lots of freedom, lots of opportunity. It's a key word, guys. Lots of opportunity to make yourself better. Now, you asked some other good questions here. I said before, that my biggest mistake in strongman was not working my weakness, strength, and relying on my athleticism. That's true. When I was younger in strongman, so through my 20s, I was a pure athlete. I could play any sport, basketball, football, soccer. I could flip and jump and do a lot of things like that. But, my squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, very basic static lifts were not elite at all. I could go to any contest and show off like a gymnast like nobody else could at the contest, except for just a couple of people. Like, you look at like Jesse Marundi could do some wild things. But I couldn't put up the big numbers. I need to focus on getting better. I did not need to focus on just getting better at static strength at the cost of athleticism. I also did not have the knowledge on how to get better at static strength while maintaining or getting better at my athletic movements. This is something that probably happened just by pure luck and accident training for martial arts. So at that point in time, I did not have the knowledge on how to do both, so I switched from everything athletic to everything static. I did focus on tire flip pretty much on a weekly basis, and that was about it, but I got really beat up in the process. So how would you have set up my training differently if I could go back, or if I had a client with the same problem? I think that I do this all the time with clients. I've got one client right now specifically that has potential out of this world when it comes to powerlifting. Could be, I hate to say his name because I don't want to lose him as a client. I don't want him to think, hey, you know what, I'm going to go back to powerlifting. But he has amazing potential when it comes to raw, and I would say at least single ply powerlifting. That's not to say that he couldn't be amazing multiply, but I think competitively he could blow the doors off some single ply powerlifters on a world level. He also has amazing potential when it comes to strongman. We're talking a guy that's 6'3", 6'4", 300 pounds and lean, hasn't reached anywhere near his potential on anything. But he spent so many years in powerlifting that his back is beat up and his jumping ability has just gone from, I think he told me, from like a 36-inch box jump to, he really would be lucky to hit a 12-inch box jump right now. And that's what we're working on. So every day, every training session, when I look at his training plan, and I think we've got 4 days a week, we might expand that to, I don't want to say 6 days a week, but 6 ideas per week. And every training session has to look at what are we trying to accomplish? What are we trying to achieve? So when you design your own training plan and you say, okay, day number 1 is squat day. What am I trying to achieve? Right, I want to build a squat. Do you? Do you really want to build a squat? Because if you want to build a squat, you do things to build a squat. If you want to build a stronger lower body, then you do things to build a stronger lower body. There are a lot more things involved, like what you see me doing with front squats and reactive squats and tempo squats pause squats, the axle work that I did last week with the pauses on different rep ranges, finishing off with some jumps, with some jumps. Here's the one part that I want to stick out through this entire video. If you hear nothing else, you will become a product of whatever it is that you do. Years ago, I got into a discussion with a basketball player that wanted to lift weights. But then he didn't want to lift weights because he was afraid he would get big and bulky and slow. Here's the thing, I learned this from martial arts. If you lift weights like a bodybuilder, and then you continue to train martial arts like a martial artist, then you are going to end up being a martial artist that also lifts weights. If you are only a martial artist, you're going to be a martial artist. If you are only someone who lifts weights, like a bodybuilder, a powerlifter, that's exactly what you're going to be. But if you do both, you're going to end up being both. You're not going to be great at one and great at the other. You're going to be somewhere in the middle, and you have to decide how far over to one side or the other that you're going to go. And when you get really, really close to a martial arts tournament, pull away from the bodybuilding and the powerlifting and go more towards the martial arts. How much? 5%, 10%, just a little extra recovery. That's all it is. You want to grow a little bit, you want to get a little bit stronger, you pull away a little bit from the martial arts, 5%, 10%, and it just soaks everything up into the powerlifting, the bodybuilding, the strongman. That's all it is. But you become what you do. If you were a basketball player that just decided you wanted to go out and train like a powerlifter, you're going to lose your dunking ability, your jumping ability, your spinning ability, your running, because you're going to be beat up all the time. But if you train like a powerlifter who says, okay, when I finish squatting today, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make 100 jump shots. I'm going to go back and forth up down the court 100 times. I'm going to do suicides up and down the court. I've got to remember today to save enough in my body so tomorrow I can do what I need to do on the court, on the field, in the ring. If you can train that way, you can be amazing at both. Sometimes being 10% less of a martial artist or a basketball player means you can be 60% more of a lifter, which will in turn make you a much better martial artist or basketball player in the end. Hope that makes sense. All right, now you also ask, is speed bench worth doing as a strongman to build the overhead press? When I had my best overhead press, I was doing speed bench every week. A lot of my speed bench was somewhere between 185 pounds, 230 pounds, plus doubled mini bands for 8 to 12 sets of 2. If I felt beat up, I would use a 2 board or a 3 board. If I felt beat up, I would go a little bit lighter, just use a plate to 10, do some extra sets, finish off with some extra singles, doubles, or triples off a board or straight off my chest. That doesn't mean that if you increase your speed bench that your overhead press will go up as a strongman, but as a general rule, if you are able, this is key, this is like data points, if you are able to be fast with a good weight, with a normal weight on speed bench, you should be healthy, wealthy, and recovered to hit a good weight on overhead press. Most of speed bench is done with a slightly closer grip. Most strong men, people with stronger shoulders, are going to be stronger on the bench press with a closer grip than they are with a wider grip. Not saying correlation and causation, I am just saying correlation. So maybe it's, hey, I need to do whatever it is that I need to do to be healthy enough to speed bench. Because if I do whatever needed to be done to be healthy enough to speed bench effectively and efficiently, my overhead press should be able to go up at the same time. Now, what I have found is that with a lot of strong men, we can do speed bench at the normal conjugate percents. So let's say raw 50 to 60, 65% plus some bands. And I might possibly get better results off a 2 board or even a 3 board, or even my super long armed top strongman athletes working off a 3 and 4 board rather than going fully to their chest, maintaining speed, maintaining explosivity, if that's even a word, but you know what I mean, and that continuing to allow their overhead press to go up at a solid, steady rate. Man, I hope this answers some questions. I hope this gives you some ideas. And I hope this makes the wheels turn so you can sit down, look at your own programming, and make it work for you. Thanks, man. I appreciate your question. Can't wait to hear from you again.